We're live, baby. Boom breakdown, UFC 259. We're in the new Boom studio right here. Finally moved in the house, so we got a nicer little setup here. I think we got a better view. We got nice lighting, all that good stuff. So uh I hope you guys tune in, leave questions in the comments section. I'll get to Twitter questions at the end, but let's get straight into the card. I can't wait for this. This is one of those fight nights that are just like, you know, really exciting with three title fights. We got Blockowitz versus Israel Adesanya. Adesanya is going up a weight class to light heavyweight to fight Jan Blockowitz, who became champion against Dominic Reyes, and he looked better than ever in that fight. And this is a guy that's had his ups and downs at light heavyweight, but man, has he reached his peak? Like, he's very well rounded. His kick, that kick to the body he was hitting Reyes with, was devastating, and Israel Adesanya is just here to prove a point, pretty much. We got an undefeated superstar who has the most technical striking probably in the UFC altogether, in any weight class. And he's, coming in to fight for a light heavyweight championship. And one of the big talking points is that he's not putting on any size. As far as what he's saying, he's going to stay around the weight that he would if he was fighting at middleweight. Probably going to come into this fight about 195 pounds, and that's going to be a huge size and weight disadvantage. Blockowitz is a big light heavyweight, probably going to be around 225 in there, and he's a strong, powerful guy. The thing is, though, speed makes up for a lot of that, and with Israel, his speed and his technical striking is definitely very high level, to the point where, size might not matter, power might not matter, because we've seen him fight guys like Paulo Costa, and he got touched, and I mean, he doesn't really get touched much. That's what I mean to say, is like, he's very evasive. He leans back and pulls and makes you miss, and he counters really well. I think he has great game plan. I think he has tools in the toolbox that we haven't quite seen yet. He does hint at things like maybe we'll see a submission. Some of this stuff you just can't take too serious. You don't know if it's just kind of a war of words, and he's just trying to get in his opponent's head. I think he does that sometimes too. But man, his resume is stacking up. And if he could beat a guy like Jan Blockowitz, we're looking at a potential John Jones fight in the future. Excuse me, a potential three-weight champion, making history. So, he comes out of the city kickboxing camp. Eugene Behrman is an amazing coach. I think that guy's a genius. He keeps quiet, but he does his homework, and he really knows what he's doing with his fighters. And I think, he has a great plan set out for Israel. And Jan Blockowitz, though, is a guy that he's great at cutting off the cage. He was landing that body kick really well. He's good at counter striking, wing blocking and throwing big hooks. He's not the fastest guy, I would say, and his footwork isn't the best, but he's gotten better all around everywhere. And I mean, this guy's a high level on the ground. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has great kimuras. He's good off his back. I can't imagine Israel Adesanya trying to take him down. If the fight does end up on the ground, it's got to be because Jan Blockowitz is enforcing, a takedown of some sort. But we've seen in Israel's fights that he doesn't really get taken down. He's really good at, defending takedowns. He's good at scrambling. He actually has a couple of good submissions we've seen him throw out, but we just haven't seen him on the ground for long enough to know where he's at exactly. Like what potential does he have down there? I'm going to be honest. I think the fight's going to be on the feet for the most part. I think, Jan Blockowitz is going to have to move forward right off the get-go, pressure Israel Adesanya. Don't give him time to breathe, to set up his range, to get into his rhythm. Blockowitz has got to be all over him early on. He's got to be making Israel uncomfortable, kind of maybe put him against the cage, clinch him, show him that he's the bigger, stronger guy, try to get him down, try to get him working, try to tire out his arms, slow down the speed of Israel Adesanya. Don't let him be on his horse, moving well, but what Israel does really good is he utilizes kicks to keep you away. And he did that in the Paulo Costa fight early. He was landing a lot of good leg kicks, and he was kind of using his range, to keep him further away at distance that he wanted. So I could see Israel kind of using that front snap kick, those long head kicks, the leg kicks, that John Jones kick to the kneecap. All those things are going to play a factor, I feel like, for Israel. And he's going to be on his lateral movement. He's going to be making sure he keeps Jan away from him, I feel. And that's going to be the big thing for him, is that he needs to keep him away. But, Israel's a great counter striker as well. So if Jan does get inside on him and, he slips and rips, he makes him miss and counters him, Israel is definitely going to have that speed advantage. So that's going to be a key factor in this fight. I think Israel Adesanya is definitely at a level of striking that I don't think size is going to be a big deal in this fight. I don't think he's going to get caught with that big shot. But I was surprised when Jan beat Dominic Reyes. I picked Reyes in that fight just based off of how he performed against John Jones in that title fight. Looked really good. Probably beat him. A lot of people think so. So, I think Jan is definitely at his best. But I just think Israel is just too high level of a striker, too precise, too slick, too smart on the feet. And he's not going to let Jan get a hold of him. He knows that that's where he would ever be in danger in this fight, is if Jan ended up grabbing him to the ground, being on top of him, and dealing with, a big weight discrepancy and having to try to get up. So I see Israel slowly picking him apart. I think he might face a little bit of adversity at some point in the fight, but I think he will get through it. We've seen him in that Kelvin Gastelum fight go through death, you know what I mean, to resurrect himself and win in the 5th round like that. So we know Israel has that in him, if he does have to face adversity. So I just can't see, Israel getting caught by anything or getting dominated with grappling or anything like that. So I see him picking him apart. He's definitely going to set up that slide back left hook that he has. He's going to use his kicks a lot. I'm going to say it right now. I think his kicks are going to be the huge difference maker in this fight. So I'm going to go with Israel Adesanya by a late TKO. I think he's going to TKO Jan in the 3rd round, 3rd or 4th round. I think Jan will hold up. He's got a pretty decent chin, but I think Israel's just going to be too much. He's going to touch him more and more as the fight goes on. Eventually, it's going to be just too much. A lot of people say like, "Oh, Israel doesn't have power though," but he does. His precision and his snap and his punches is definitely there. So Israel, 3rd or 4th round, TKO. And thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll get to those as well. And then we'll get to some Twitter questions as well at the end. And you guys can let me know who you have in the main event and all the title fights. Who do you think is going home with the titles? And if you have any betting picks, you can let me know as well. Amanda Nunez, Megan Anderson. Nunez is a fighter that I can never see her losing pretty much. It's just one of those, like a John Jones, it could be even Magomedov, like dominating force in her division. Not many people give her a challenge. If anybody was going to, it was Cyborg, and she knocked her out. Megan Anderson has had chances before at the highest level. She's shown, she has submission ability. She has good movement on the feet. She's very long for the weight class, but I just don't think she has enough power in her punches to really gain the respect of Nunez. Nunez is going to throw bombs and she's going to hurt you, and she punches harder than most females in that division, and I'd say maybe all of them. But if you can't handle her power and deliver the same kind of power, it's going to be trouble unless you can outpoint her for the whole entire fight and avoid any kind of big shots, and try to keep her on the outside. If you're Megan Anderson, you want to use that range, use that length. Maybe try to, enforce grappling, cage control, stuff like that to slow her down, to not have to deal with those power shots. That's your best bet, and maybe, Megan Anderson can look for a submission, but Nunez is good on the ground as well too. If you want her anywhere, you probably want her on her back. You're not dealing with any kind of power shots there or much of a big submission threats. Nunez is more of a TKO finisher. We know that. She does have decent wrestling, though. I think it's pretty underrated. If she needs to use it, she will. But I don't think she's going to in this fight because I think, Megan Anderson can give her trouble with her long limbs on the ground with submissions. But I think Megan Anderson is primarily mostly comfortable on the feet. And, if you're fighting Amanda Nunez on the feet with that kind of power, it's just a matter of time before she hits you with something that kind of gets you flustered and slows you down. So I could see it. Nunez doing the same thing she always does in this fight and probably winning by either a TKO or a knockout in round 2 or round 3. And I think early goings, Megan Anderson is going to be smart. She's going to be on her movement. She has one of the best coaches, James Krause. He's amazing in the corner, one of the best guys. You hear him giving great advice. So I think he's going to be smart with Anderson's approach, but I don't think it's going to last that long because I just think Nunez eventually is going to find you, touch you, and it's going to fluster you. Little pike roast with a shot of espresso, a little sweet cream. We got the fruits. We can enjoy a little taste, a little flavor. Boomachino, This fight I'm the most excited for, I gotta say. Jan versus Sterling. 2 bantamweights at the peak of their careers, fighting at such a high level right now. Peter Yan did beat Aldo, but a lot of talk about, is Aldo, is he at his peak? Is he at his best? He's kind of on the tail end of his career, but I wouldn't agree with that. I think Aldo looks sharp, at bantamweight. He looks great. He just beat a young, hungry guy in Chito Vera. He looked good in that fight everywhere, striking, grappling. His weight cut seems to be going smooth to bantamweight, which is kind of a surprise to a lot of people. But Peter Yan is just a vicious striker and a guy that is very aggressive. He's very devastating, has power in his hands. He's shown a great takedown defense percentage, 88%, I believe it is. And that's the telltale of this fight is Aljamain Sterling going to get a hold of him? I think Aljamain has to approach this fight just like he did Sandhagen. Don't give him any space. Don't give him any time. Bum rush him, feints, leg kicks, in his face, level changing, feints, and eventually get a hold of him early and try to get his back, because once Aljo gets your back, you're pretty much stuck and you're pretty much fucked. You know what I mean? Because he that's what he talks about being the human backpack. He gets your back, he gets the body triangle, you're stuck there, you ain't getting out, and it's just a nightmare. So if Aljo can get himself there, he's going to be able to win this fight, I feel, whether it's a rear naked choke or he just dominates with position and tires Jan out. Now, Jan is a very good grappler too. I think he's better to be on top. If he can be on top and land ground and pound, that's where he wants to be. He's not a guy that's looking for takedowns. He's very confident in his striking. He's got a great, shell. He keeps his paw hand out. He keeps his right hand tucked really well. He's got crisp, fast hands. He's got really good kicks. And he's good at switching stances and throwing the same kind of power with that left hand as well. Sterling's a guy that's very hard to fight. He's frustrating. He moves a lot. He feints a lot. He kicks a lot. His kicks are like very loose. His kicks are like jabs and crosses. Like he kicks very fast, very elusive. And he knows how to use his range. He's going to keep Jan away from him with those kicks. And then when he wants to, he's going to close the distance and he's going to try to grab a hold of him with a lot of feints and setups and stuff like that. I don't think he's going to be way too aggressive in the striking realm. I don't think he's going to stand in the pocket, exchange with Jan. But, I think Jan is a guy that starts a little slower. He likes to be patient. He likes to find his range and get a hold on things and see kind of what you're bringing to the table before he starts to let go. That's why I think early on in this fight, if Sterling could be very high energy, jittery like he was with Sandhagen, got in his face and was, feinting and constantly flexing it and then grab the hold of him instantly. I think that's the blueprint right now to get a hold of Jan and get a quick finish or put him in trouble in the grappling realm of things, which is obviously what Sterling is, best at. So, but Sterling's improved a lot in striking. His fights, against Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, he displayed a lot of improvements there, aggression and comfortability as well. So, I don't think you can just call this a grappling versus striker. I do think Sterling's going to have enough striking to, give Jan some trouble there as well, especially with the kicks. Look for head kicks, look for leg kicks, look for front kicks up the middle. I think he will give Jan a little trouble there because Jan is more of a boxer. Yes, he kicks, but he doesn't kick a lot, and he doesn't kick a lot of, he doesn't use a lot of head kicks or front snap kicks or anything like that. He did catch Uriah Faber with that one out of the clinch, but he's such a savvy fighter like that. His clinch, his wrist traps in the clinch, his ability to turn you and trip you. I think he's really quick, fast twitch. So I think when he does wrestle, he moves really fast, and he's able to kind of deal with, clinch and takedowns and wrestling in that area of things. But as far as technique goes with the wrestling, I think Aljamain has him in there. But will this fight go to the ground? I don't know. I'm so curious to see, will Aljo be able to get a hold of him? Will Jan be a little bit different early on in this fight where maybe he moves a little more laterally and he's a little more evasive than usual? Because I think he's mostly flat-footed and kind of walks forward and keeps his hand out and paws forward and tries to close the distance. But I'm really interested to see how this fight plays out, man. It's going to be wild. Wouldn't it be something if Sterling gets another title for Long Island, right? We had Sarah, Weidman, and now Sterling up next. So we'll see what happens there, man. I mean, both guys are at the peak and fighting at their highest level right now, which is what makes this fight amazing. And this is the real true bantamweight title fight. I don't think a lot of people thought Aldo versus Jan was. And it kind of looked more like Sterling versus Sandhagen was. We saw what happened there. So let's see if Sterling can get it done again, or is Jan going to be able to land some big shots and kind of fluster Sterling and hurt him on the feet. I'm a little biased in this one, of course, because I'm a Long Islander, and Sterling is one of the guys I've trained with. I've come up with him in the Team Bomb Squad where we first started professionally. But I really think Sterling is in a different realm right now of confidence and belief in himself. And I think that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's good at, and he knows he's going to get it there. And I think he's going to figure out a way to get his hands on Jan. And I think he's going to grab a hold of him, get his back, lock up that body triangle, and go to work. And I think we're going to see Sterling potentially put Jan to sleep with another rear naked choke finish. That's what I see. I think it happens early because I think Sterling knows that he can't be going 5 rounds striking with Jan. And if this fight is going to the 5 rounds, then we know that Sterling did not get a hold of him and did not control that position and get a finish. So most likely that means trouble for him. Not a guarantee, but I think Sterling gets it done early. I'm going to go with a rear naked choke in round 1 or 2. I know. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. So those are the 3 title fights on the card. I'm going to go down and make quicker picks now, and then we'll get to some questions. Make it nice and easy, quick. Got to get to training. I have another training session. I got the boom room, the garage all set up. We got the mats. We got a sauna coming tomorrow. Can't wait. I got a treadmill in there, a salt bike coming, punching bag. We got the slip bag, ground and pound dummy, hexagon squat bar. I'm setting up the whole boom room, so I can't wait. Training people out of there. If anyone's looking for privates, Long Island, let me know. I'm a salesman now, Islam Makhachev, Drew Dober. Makhachev, is essentially the Khabib number 2. A lot of good hype behind this guy. He's obviously got, crisp striking, but known for his wrestling, his judo, his takedowns, and his ability to chain wrestle. Of course, one of Khabib's main training partners. Drew Dober has that power in his hands. He's a southpaw, and he's a guy that's been on a tear. He's had some beautiful knockouts as of late. Nasrat has request. I can't pronounce his name, but Nasrat, yeah. He knocked him out, and that guy has some really fast hands. And I think, in this fight, Islam's a smart striker. He's not a guy that just rips and tries to exchange and get sloppy. He keeps technical on the feet, and it's mainly just to set up takedowns. He's 18-1. He's only lost once. I don't even know who beat him, but Drew Dober is definitely going to want to keep the fight on the feet. He does say he has, confidence in his grappling if the fight does go down to the ground. But I just think positionally, Islam is on another level down there. So you definitely don't want to deal with that with this guy on top of you for 3 rounds. But I think that's the case. I think we're going to see Islam work his game, get his takedown eventually, tire out Drew Dober. Drew Dober is going to start to get frustrated. He's going to maybe get back up to his feet, look for the knockout, but I think Islam's going to take him down over and over, just like Khabib does, and get a decision win. I don't think we'll see a finish, but I think we'll see Islam by decision. Santos versus Rakic. What a explosive fight right there, man. Santos, obviously has shown a lot of weakness in his ground game. I mean, I don't know if it's because he gets tired or if it's just his skill level down there or what it is, but that last fight out when he was on his back, he just had no urgency at all. And, Rakic is not known to be the best wrestler, but he did take Anthony Smith down a couple times and he did well, positionally, just stayed smart, didn't really give up anything, and he didn't take much risks. But I think Santos is going to bounce back in this fight. I think this fight's going to be crazy fireworks on the feet. I think Santos is just a little bit more dynamic and explosive on the feet. I think Rakic has that power as well. He does have some beautiful knockouts on his resume, but I just think Santos is going to edge him on the feet a little bit. And I think that maybe it might get a little bit crazy. And I think that when it happens like that, someone gets caught, there's problems. So especially with these two guys with the power they pack. I think Santos is going to rebound big here. I think he's going to get a knockout in round 1 or 2. Quick picks down the prelims. This card's fucking insane, man. Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny. Wow, man. It's crazy to see Dominic Cruz on the prelims, right? But obviously this is a fight where he's just saying, hey, listen, I need to test myself. That's what he said. I need to test myself. Sometimes people get surprised by matchups like this because they're like, wait, like Dominic Cruz against Casey Kenny? Why right now? Like, why are they giving Cruz this guy? Well, Casey Kenny's shown a lot of improvement. He fought twice back-to-back on Fight Island. He looked great, beating Nathaniel Wood, and he's a wrestler who beat him in striking. So that was impressive. And, but Cruz is a different fighter, man. I think Cruz is a difficult guy to fight. Cejudo really did a good job with the leg kicks, cutting him off on the cage. But Cruz moves really well, and I think he learned from that fight. And I think Casey Kenny's going to have kind of trouble finding him. I think Cruz is definitely going to be the longer guy. He's going to utilize that footwork like he always does, in and out, side by side. He's stick and move. I think maybe Cruz is going to want to prove a little bit of a wrestling point here. I think Casey Kenny's going to want to get aggressive. He's going to get frustrated with Cruz's movement and try to take his head off. You could see that in Casey Kenny has that fire in him, that aggression in him, wants to take you out. And I think that might be his downfall in this fight because Cruz might start to pick him apart a little bit, touch him and move, and maybe land a couple takedowns and get Kenny frustrated, want to knock him out bad. And then I think Cruz will kind of keep that momentum going and take over from there. It's a 3-round fight. So if Cruz starts to outpoint him and starts to get the momentum, I think he could take off and get it. I'm going to go with Cruz here. I think he's a good underdog bet as well. Crazy, right? Cruz is a plus 120 in this fight or something like that, 105 maybe. I'm definitely gonna bet on Cruz because I think he's got a lot of value in this fight, and I'm gonna pick him as well. I think he's gonna win by decision, just by outpointing him, making him miss, and just winning on the judges' card. So I got Cruz by decision. Song Yadong, Kyler Phillips. This is an exciting fight at bantamweight too. I was really impressed with Phillips. He looks really good at bantamweight, especially with mixing things up. Strikes, takedowns, transitions on the ground look really slick, really smooth. He looks like a good size guy for bantamweight. Song Yadong has that power, that one shot knockout power, but he's shown a lot of flaws on his back. I remember watching him fight Stamen, and they were on the ground, and it just looked like he was lost. And with Phillips being a very slick guy on the ground, I can really see him taking advantage of that. Will he be able to take Song Yadong down? That's what I don't know. Is Phillips a high-level wrestler? I'm not quite sure. But I know he looks really high-level once it hits the mat. And I think if the fight can get into a scramble situation, Phillips can land something, outposition him, mount him, take his back, something like that. But I do think that when it's on the feet, the bigger threat is Song Yadong with the power. Definitely has more knockout power. So hard fight to pick in this fight because I really don't know where to gauge Song Yadong. He trains with Team Alpha Male. He definitely has really good coaching, and I've seen some of his training. He looks really sharp, fast, strong, powerful, everything. But I'm going to lean towards Phillips, man. He just has the momentum right now for me. And I don't know if he's the underdog in this fight, but he's another guy that I would look at possibly for a bet here. Phillips impressed me, man. I see something special in him. I think he's training with Casey Kenny, O'Malley, all those guys over there. So definitely got good bantamweights around him that he could train with. So that's definitely important as well, too. Benavidez back against Askar Askarov. I love Benavidez, man. I hope he can rebound here. Obviously, he's an OG of the sport. He's been around since the WEC days. And Askar Askarov's a guy that's, 12-0. Hard guy to fight, hard guy to hit. He's not the easiest guy to grapple either. I think he's a strong guy for flyweight. He's very smart with his movement, very technical, doesn't really give a lot. He doesn't take a lot of risks and really get crazy in there. Benavidez, on the other hand, he does get wild. He throws hooks from his hips. He kind of looks down and just throws sometimes, and it could sometimes put him in trouble, But I do think Joseph Benavidez is of the elite at flyweight. And I don't know if Askar Askarov is quite there yet. This could be that breakout performance that puts him in a title contention. And it would be terrible to see Benavidez lose another one, 2 title fights and then lose a fight against Askar Askarov and kind of really set him back big time. I mean, if he gets finished to a guy like Askarov, I can imagine Benavidez just being broken, like you're number 2 your whole life, essentially, your whole fighting career in the UFC, and then you lose 2 title fights, setback, and then if you lose to Askarov, you're just like, what do I do? So I hope he gets the win, and I think he is just the more dynamic guy, the more well-rounded guy altogether. But I just hope he can utilize a good game plan here. I think his best bet is to try to mix in the takedowns with the striking. I think he does have a little bit of a power advantage too. Askarov might have that more, technical striking ability. He's good on his feet, but Benavidez is a scrambler. Of course, he used to train at Alpha Male, and those guys got chokes, guillotines, scrambles for days. So I just hope he can mix it up well and take Askarov down and try to outposition him, outscramble him on the ground. And I could see this fight going the distance as well. I think I'm going to go with Benavidez by decision. Just think he'll land the more power shots. He'll call his scrambles and outposition him. Bonterin versus France. Really impressed with Bonterin. I think this is another guy that has value as well. Kaikara France is a good striker. He's definitely a technical fighter, but I think Bonterin's going to have the power advantage. He's a big flyweight, strong, and I think, we've seen Kaikara France have trouble against bigger flyweights like Tyson Nam and a couple other guys. So I'm going to lean towards Bonterin. I think he's going to get the decision. Kaikara France gets hit just a little bit too much for my liking. I feel like you can't get hit by power strikers, bigger guys at flyweight. So, I got Bonterin. I think he's going to win by a decision. Cara France is a hard guy to finish. He takes shots really well. He has a good chin. I just think he takes too many shots. Elliott versus Espinoza. Elliott's a crazy scrambler, man, but Espinoza is a guy that's a really smart fighter, has that wrestling background, has a great jab. I think he's faster. I think he's more he's smarter on the feet. Elliott likes to take a lot of risks. He gets wild out there. Chaotic fighter, but I'm going to go Espinoza. I think he'll get the job done by decision. Carlos Olberg versus Kennedy Zichu. I can't pronounce his last name. We'll stick with Kennedy, but I'm going Carlos Olberg because he's a savage and he trains with Israel Adesanya. He's undefeated. He's a big guy for the weight class. He looks good. Anybody at City Kickboxing is trained really well, so got to go with Carlos Olberg. I think he's a big favorite too, so I would stay away from betting, but I'm leaning Olberg. Decision. Sean Brady, tank of a man versus Jake Matthews. This is 2 guys that are very explosive, very strong for the welterweight class. Brady's undefeated. I hear a lot of good things about this guy. Paul Felder says he's like the strongest guy he's ever felt, and that's a lot coming from Paul Felder. So got to lean Brady. I think he'll get the job done by submission. I think he'll be able to take Matthews down and get a hold of something. And with the strength that he has, I think it'll make a difference. Brady by submission. Souza versus Lamos. I'm going to go with Souza by decision. Euros Medic versus Alan Cruz. I'm going to go with Alan Cruz by decision. And then we got Mario Batista versus Trevin Jones. I'm going to go with Mario Batista by TKO. And that's the quick picks. That's the early prelims. Let's get to the questions. What do we got, baby? Sniffles. Looks like the cut healed up nice. Thank you. Looking good, bro. Thank you. Cruz, Rakic, Makachev, Jan, Nunez. Yeah, good picks. Good picks. Izzy, Megan, Aljo. Wow, you're going with Megan. Crazy. Megan by freak accident. All right, whatever you think. Patrick, Billy the Kidder caught the live for once. Hey, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate you. Aljo got it for sure. Yeah, I like Aljo in that fight. Boom room, baby. Aljo could have the best offensive grappling in the 35 division. Yes, I agree. Very, very devastating on the ground. Makachev is good. Yeah, he's got that Khabib style, a little bit different, a little bit less, herky jerky on the feet, but definitely has that wrestling and that ability to chain wrestle. Dober gonna sleep him? Maybe. Dober has that power, and I think he's somewhat of a dark horse in that division, man. Dober looks really good. He definitely has the potential to do so. That's for sure. Do you have any unders or overs you're going for? If I was going to go for a over, it would be the Aljo versus Jan fight. Just because I think Jan is he's gonna be aware of that takedown early, and I think it might go a little bit further than I was saying before in my prediction. Just I think if Aljo gets a hold of him, I think it's trouble. That's trouble for everyone. So, if I'm going unders, trying to think. Let me see here. Let me get a good look at this. Oh, if you're gonna go over Tim Elliott versus Espinoza, in my opinion, that fight's like a guaranteed 3-round fight. If you're going to go unders, I think you go Brady Matthews. You could look for the under there. Two guys with a lot of power, a lot of strength. Let's see. I think in the Jan and Israel fight, you go under as well. Two guys that are finishers, So I think you look for the under in that fight, especially if it's at 4.5 rounds. I don't know what the odds are there, though. Probably pretty high favorite for it to be under 4.5. I think Benavidez versus Askarov, you could look at the over. Casey Kenny, Dominic Cruz, you could look at the over. Yeah. That would be a couple of my over-under looks. Look forward to the bounce back, bro. I appreciate you, Steven. Frankie Smash, like to see you versus Cruz. Hey, that'd be a legend fight. It'd be awesome. Twitter questions. Nice and easy. Who's next for Izzy if he wins? Does he go down and fight the winner of Costa Whitaker? Or does he fight Jones? I feel bad for Glover. He's been waiting a long time for the title shot. Yeah, you know what? And who's next for you? With Izzy, he's smart with what he does, with his trajectory. I think he's going to be smart with who he chooses next. He says he's going to go back down to middleweight, but I don't know if he's going to fight the winner of those two. Yeah, you got to feel for Glover, man. The guy's an older guy who's definitely, he's definitely earned his shot, but he might be waiting in the wings with all the shit going on over there at light heavyweight. I think that Izzy's going to wait a little bit for Jones. He's going to try to play that delay game and kind of make him wait a little bit. But I think Jones, Izzy is bound to happen at some point. I just don't know what he does next. I'm really not sure. I think if Whitaker wins, you could definitely look to book that rematch. Yeah, I'm not sure who's next for me. Wood, Ewell. I mean, I'll take either of those fights. I know both of them been down to fight me in the past, so fuck it. Let's do it. Boom, baby. Business is booming. Rogerio Bonterin coming for Kaikar France ass. People must have forgot about Song Yadong too. Would love to hear your thoughts on that fight. Yeah, man, I was talking about it earlier. I mean, I'm really impressed with Phillips, man. Just his slick groundwork, the way he looked in his last fight. But Song Yadong is also a guy that I think he's definitely he showed flaws on his back in the Stamen fight, but I don't think he's an easy guy to take down. I don't think he's an easy guy to really control, and I think his power on the feet, his speed is a problem. But I just think Phillips looked really good with his transitions on the ground, and his striking looks good too. So I just think if he can cause scrambles, he could do really well in that fight. But the power advantage goes to Song Yadong for sure. Do you think people are overlooking Jan Blockowitz' ground game going into this fight? And if the bigger man wants to take you down, is there much you can do to stop it with the weight difference? Yeah, I mean, weight difference doesn't always get the takedown, but it's when the takedown happens, if he gets it, the weight difference can make a big, could be a big factor. But, I don't think people are underestimating Jan's ground game. I just think they don't think that Israel's going to get taken down and controlled. I think that, if that happens, it could be trouble for Israel, but we haven't seen it yet, and he's faced wrestlers now. Gastelum's a great wrestler. He's been taken down a couple times and he gets back up pretty well. He's getting taken down. He's throwing out chokes out there. So Israel definitely has skills that I think we haven't seen, and I think we're underestimating because we just don't know, and we're kind of looking for that like downfall, like, oh, but what, same thing with Conor, like when he was out knocking everyone out, like what about a wrestler that we saw, Chad Mendez, and it's always interesting to see how that plays out and if that happens and what the response is, but I don't think there's an underestimation for Jan's ground game. But that's that. And that's that. UFC 259. Can't wait to see this fight card. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a while. I've been busy with the house, with the puppy. We got Teddy running around like a fucking savage. And I got to get back to her because she's probably hungry. Wants to eat dinner. But I got to get to the gym, do that. And thank you for tuning in. Thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Much appreciated. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Brian Boom 135. Boom, baby.